Okay. What about cholesterol? What do we ideally want our cholesterol to be? And are we if it's below 150, does that mean we won't get a heart attack? Do some people still get them who eat a whole food plant-based diet? What's the latest information on how protected we are from heart disease and stroke if we're eating a whole food plant-based diet?
Well, first of all, you can't immediately at least unwind whatever lifestyle you had before. So I went plant-based when I was in my early 50s. And I did not have a healthy diet beforehand. I ate a lot of smoked meat and barbecue and, on and on. And so do I have a little plaque? I probably do. I've never tested it. But when I went plant-based, my total cholesterol dropped from 265 to 150. And my LDL dropped from 165 to 54 in 3 or 4 months. So, I really do think the optimum cholesterol numbers are probably are lower than what you see, American Heart Association. So probably that 150 and then in the 50, 60 range for LDL. That's hard to get to. But again, you look at Orange's data, there is evidence, even people that have some plaque, that you can reverse that. Now cholesterol is not the only risk factor for heart disease. So there's a lot of other risk factors. And so again, smoking and lack of physical activity and chronic inflammatory diseases. And so there's some other diabetes. So there's a lot of other things. It's a pretty complex disease, but by just again, when you go on a very high fiber, very low fat, whole food plant-based diet and you exercise, I mean, that's good. That's your best shot of minimizing your risk for heart disease. Does it take it to zero? I don't think I don't think there's any lifestyle that can guarantee a zero risk, but certainly you can get it down, below 5%,
Sure. And I will say that there's a lot of people who come into the shop. We just call this place the shop because calling it the Center for Plant-Based Living every single time is maddening. It's way too long of a name for a business.
Yeah.
But people come into the shop and they're like, oh gosh, I've been on this plant-based diet. My numbers are getting better and better. But oh my gosh, my HDL is falling, and it's really,
my doctor's worried about
doctor's worried about my HDL getting so low. And, Jim always talks to people about this, and the HDL is like little dump trucks, right? Little garbage trucks. So eating up the LDL, which we definitely want to lower. But if you don't have that much LDL anymore, if that's falling, then you also don't need the garbage trucks.
Your liver will stop making it. So that actually happened to me as well. So HDL is not really dietary; it's more exercise. So in med school, I was a marathon runner, and I had not perfect cholesterol back in med school when I was younger. So like maybe 220, my LDL was 120, but my HDL was like 77, almost 80. Anything above 60 statistically lowers your risk for heart disease. So now we fast forward. I'm 64. I'm probably more active now. I did an Ironman triathlon to celebrate my 60th birthday, which is 2.4 miles from 112-mile bike and run a marathon. So I'm exercising probably more now than I did in med school. But my cholesterol is 150, but my HDL is only 38. And you talked to Dr. Esselstyn, he had the same phenomenon. And there's been some studies. You look at population data from the Tarahumara Indians. They were featured in the book Born to Run. So they're in the Sierra Madre and mountains in northern Mexico. They eat a plant-based diet, but for fun, they have a game where they kick a leather ball between villages and compete. And the villages are like 50, 60 miles apart, right? So these are like the ultimate ultra endurance runners. They all have low HDL.
And what about coconut oil? Is that something that you try to include or not include in your diet?
Absolutely not. No,
Right.
No coconut oil. It's actually the highest saturated fat oil that people are using. Go ahead and use it on your skin. Fine. Right. That's wonderful, but please do not eat it. I don't use any oils when I'm cooking, making salad dressings, none of that kind of stuff. Right. So no, coconut oil is a pretty big danger if you're eating it.
Yeah. It's interesting, some of the data around, say, for example, olive oil, showing a reduced risk for heart disease. If you really look closely, like the Leon Heart study, you have to ask yourself the question, compared to what, right? So yes, olive oil in your diet will lower your risk for heart disease compared to butter, right? There have not been any really good studies looking at olive oil versus a whole food plant-based diet. And I think a way to kind of think about this is when I talk to patients is to think about how, and in a minute, Caryn, by the way, she's going to explain how to do an oil-free saute. It's really pretty straightforward. But if you think about, we should think about our calories and our nutrition like we think about our money, right? So if you have 100, and so when we invest our money, we're looking for a positive return on investment, a positive ROI, right? Well, that's how we should think about those calories, because every calorie you put in your mouth is either an investment in your health future or it's not. So if you have 100 calories to invest in your health right this minute, and you can invest it in coconut oil or olive oil because you heard that was healthy, or you can invest it in boneless, skinless chicken breast or salmon because you heard that was healthy, or you can invest it in beans and broccoli. What does the nutritional ROI of each of those look like, right? 100 calories of oil, we already talked about it. You know, it's a little bit less than a tablespoon. And what do you get back for those calories besides fat? Well, not much, right? There's no fiber. There's no protein. There's a few polyphenols in olive oil, you know, antioxidant, but not very many. You know, there's no potassium to lower your blood pressure, on and on and on. So in fact, edible oils, in pickle oil, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, safflower, it doesn't matter, right? Are the worst return on your investment nutritionally, 4,000 calories a pound, roughly. And again, think about how much space that's going to take up in your stomach. You know, you're not going to feel full, certainly, you know. What about 100 calories of chicken breast or salmon? Well, it's about an ounce. Again, think about how much that takes up in your stomach. And what do you get back from that besides protein and fat? Well, not much, because those animals have already used all the good stuff. They've used the fiber. They've used most of the vitamins and nutrients to run their own machinery. They've concentrated what's left into protein and fat, which we then consume. And again, historically, there was probably a survival advantage to having access to that. But because we are no longer stuffed for calories, we have the luxury of skipping the middleman. What about 100 calories of beans or broccoli? Well, that's like 12 ounces of broccoli. You know, I mean, you're going to be full. And what else do you get? You're getting protein. You're getting fiber. You're getting a whole list of cancer-fighting phytonutrients and antioxidants. And so again, if you frame diet through the lens of a nutritional ROI, I think you can make a pretty strong argument that you don't need oil. So right. share with how you navigate oil-free cooking.
Yeah. And I will say, you know, when we talk to people, we just did a cooking demo here in St. Louis this morning for a physicians group. Why are you adding oil to a pan anyway, right? You're doing that so that the vegetables or whatever you're putting in there first slide around. But really, the real reason you're doing that is so that you can get on your phone and check your Instagram. You can go, you know, let the dog out, yell at the kids, fold the laundry, right? Because we have to do about 5 things at once to feel like we're getting something done. So but getting back to it, we're adding oil to a pan because, hold please, because we do not want things to burn. We want them to slide around, okay? So I want to know how many people, and this is certainly how I used to, I mean, I would just go all the oil on the pan, right? And so we just said a tablespoon of olive oil or any oil is about 124, 126 calories, 14 grams of fat, and 0 fiber, right? So so knowing that if you're going to add oil to this pan, maybe you're going to add, I don't know, 3-4 tablespoons of oil. Do the math. You're at 400 or 500 calories before you have even added any ingredients to your pan, right? So you're already in the hole by several hundred calories and lots of fat, more than you need for the day. So what I'd like to do is heat up a pan very, 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 very hot. Now, what's happening here is on your pan or your saucepan or whatever you're using, the molecules on the surface of this pan start to vibrate very, very fast as the heat goes up. And what we want to do is have all those molecules on the surface of the pan come to the highest heat where they are all vibrating at the same time, creating really a nonstick surface. Now, yes, this is a nonstick pan. They're out there. You can use them or not. It doesn't matter. This works on any kind of cookware. It even works on cast iron. So you want to get your pan to the highest heat so that all of those molecules are vibrating at the very same time. Now, how do you test that? You want to make sure that you have a little bit of water or vegetable broth off to the side. And when this is still on that heating element over the flame or whatever, if a little bit of water, just a drizzle bit of water starts to roll around on the surface of your pan like a ball of mercury, then you know that you have essentially a nonstick cooking surface. So then you can throw your vegetables on, turn the heat down to a cooking temperature of medium high, And then always stay on top of those vegetables. They will release water because they're plants. All plants have water in them. Stay on top of them, stay on top of them. And then eventually you'll add enough ingredients in, you can cover it, walk away, get back to your Instagram feed.
Right.
So here's the thing. Yes, the reason we're adding the oil is so that the vegetables slide around and they don't burn. But also you're creating a buffer between that pan and the food. You're creating also a buffer between your taste buds and the food. So you think that you can taste your food, try not using any oil, and you will just relish in the fact that you really are a good cook. Right. So I tell it to my students all the time. We go over this it's called dry saute all the time. And people email me, they call me, they text me, they're like, oh my gosh, I really didn't know what I was missing.
Yeah, sure.
You have that buffer
right.
of oil that's
coat your tongue. Yeah.
And you don't really taste the food until you stop using it.
And you'll be demoing. We're going to do a live cooking demo on Tuesday, I think, and you'll be demoing an oil-free saute. And also, if you want to, you have a video on your website, right?
Right. We have a membership, and all that stuff is in there.
Yeah,
so we will be doing the dry saute on Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what about coconut products? Coconut yogurt, coconut milk. Are these in the same category as coconut oil, or are they different?
So again, the coconut milk. I do use some coconut milk in a bisque and such, but it's not really refined. Coconut milk, you just open up a coconut and you get the water out, and then you press the and then the coconut milk, you take the meat of the coconut and you just press it. So it's minimally processed, really. Coconut milk itself is fine, I think. It does have a little bit higher fat, but I use a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.